Welcome back. I'm Alfred Lambremont Weber, and we're with our distinguished guest, Gary Carlson of iCheckYourSoul.com. That's iCheckYourSoul.com. Gary has been a guest on our show before, and as you recall, he does soul reports. Welcome, Gary.
Thank you, Alfred. I'm glad to be back.
I'm very glad that you're back. And our show came about this way. Gary contacted me with the following sentence: 7 years of trouble followed by ascension is important news. 7 years of trouble followed by ascension is important news. And there's a lot of catchphrases in there, and we're all trying to figure out the future. So, Gary, we are here to ask you to please explain, elucidate, and bring us into the reality that you have put forth in 7 years of trouble followed by ascension is important news. Take it away.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I use the pendulum, and it hasn't been too good in predicting the future. It told me Ascension was coming up real quick, and the brown dwarf star was coming real quick. And I kept asking about that every day, for almost a year. And I did a lot of soul reports and told people that they're going to ascend in 2016. And then I kept following the internet. I was watching some show about 7 years of tribulation, like in the Bible and other holy books. And when I asked questions then, all of a sudden I got a different result. And they're saying that it's going to be like that for Earth too. And I spent a couple hours on the pendulum asking all different questions and everything. And I feel a lot better about that likely happening than Ascension this year and the Golden Age next year. It ain't going that way. A lot of people are getting posting pictures on the internet of the planets that are going around the brown dwarf star. And so it's like, it's still trying to catch up to the sun. The information I got, it seems like I'm doing good on spiritual facts and soul reports and stuff. Although I haven't did that good on prediction stuff. So I usually don't try to do that, but I got carried away giving out dates and believing in the near future on it. And that was a big mistake. Almost anybody in this business will tell you never to give dates. So I'm relatively new, kind of started in 2010. And it's taken me a while to, get it right. So anyway, what I'm kind of told will happen, they keep saying the currency is going to crash and all that, and they keep doing stuff to delay it. I'm told that they're going to keep doing that, and the currency is never going to crash. And that they're going to change things before it crashes. But it's going to cause real hard times, and a lot of people are going to discharge their bad karma on the way to the golden age. It's going to try to clear out the planet's bad karma before the golden age. So this brown dwarf star is likely to come in a couple of years. What I get on space alignment is our sun orbits the star Sirius. I heard a couple of people say this, and I kept asking about it, and I get yes. And it takes the cycle to orbit the star Sirius, 25,920 years. And then, so Sirius goes around the galaxy, and our sun orbited up and down. It goes above Sirius and above the plane of the galaxy, and then goes down, and it's on the plane of the galaxy, closer to the middle of the galaxy, and then goes below the plane of the galaxy, and then it goes on the plane of the galaxy on the other side of Sirius, further away from the center of the galaxy. And all the while, the brown dwarf star is orbiting our sun on an elliptical orbit behind it. So like right now, it's trying to catch up to the sun, and then it's going real slow. And when it finally catches up and starts to bypass the sun, it'll speed way up and go around the sun in about 3 months, and then go back out and fly back out to space and go away real fast. So when it goes around the sun, it'll go inside the solar system and bring all them planets in and everything. And it'll cause a lot of gravitational fluctuations. But they got these, if anybody's a fan of David Wilcox stuff, it's got that guy, Corey Good, and they're saying that they got the Spear Beam Alliance inside our solar system, and they got it sealed off so nothing can get in or out, not even communication. So anyway, they moved it out so that the sun won't, I mean, that brown dwarf star will go like over Jupiter instead of over, when it goes above the plane of our solar system, it'll be a little further away, like on top of Jupiter instead of on top of Earth. So there'll be a lot less damage to Earth, but we'll still get a fair amount. And some of the Illuminati is doing whatever they can to keep it silent and a secret that it's coming, so nobody's getting the message to move away from the coast, although a few people are giving it. There's supposedly about between 50 and 60 top Illuminati people that are controlling the Earth that are super evil. And to be an Illuminati, you look just like a regular human, but instead of having a human soul, you got a reptilian soul. And I'm told they were made thousands of years ago. They took the reptilian eggs, and they took like 98.6 of the reptilian DNA out of the egg and replaced it with human DNA. And then when the reptilians had children, they had human children, but since they had them on their planet with their people, they got a reptilian soul. And they did this with several of them, maybe, I don't know, 25 to 100 or something like that. And when they brought them to Earth, they have to mate with each other, and then the children get a reptilian soul. But if either parent has a human soul, then the children will get a human soul. So that's why you hear about keeping the bloodlines, and the royals only marry the royals and all that. It's so they keep getting a reptilian soul instead of getting a human soul. That's how the Illuminati thing works. I think I'm the only guy that came up with that. I haven't seen anybody else doing soul reports or spiritual facts on the internet, so I don't have any competition, but I've been working really hard on it for like 5.5 years now, trying to get it right. I ask the same questions over and over and over, and eventually some of them change. I'm not exactly sure how this pendulum works. I think if they give you a lie, it goes in your mind or soul, and when you ask it again to somebody that controlling the pendulum and doesn't know or care about that question, they just give you the answer that's already in your mind or soul instead of correcting the mistake or the lie or something like that. So sometimes it takes a while before you're answered by the right guy that'll correct whatever error that you got, that he knows about that deal or whatever. I mean, I was watching Grant Hancock in one of his conferences, and he was saying that the age of Pisces, when that ends, we go into the age of Aquarius. But he's saying you can look at the stars in the sky and see when that is. I guess it has to come up at a certain time or something like that, and then you measure it against the background or something like that, and And when that constellation's in front of you, then you're on that age or whatever. And he said that there's just a tiny little bit to go before we get to the age of Aquarius. And I'm told that when we actually change age is when there's going to be Ascension. And that's coming up real quick in just a few years. I don't know exactly, and I'm not giving dates anymore. I'm done with that. But it's supposed to come up maybe in 7 to 12 years or something like that. And that's when Ascension can be, when we change the age and the cycle actually ends. Yeah, this one guy, Graham Hancock, put out that new book, Magicians of the Gods. And this guy, Bill Napier, some kind of astronomer, he says, former journalist turned pseudoscientist. You know, and Graham Hancock was irritated about that being in the England paper, the Mail or whatever it's called. So when I see something like that, I just check both guys out, you know, do like a mini soul report on each guy. I get that Graham Hancock has a 57 soul score. And I do skill level on Wanderers. It goes from 1 to 4, 1 being the lowest, 4 being the highest. And Alfred is one of the few 4s. There's supposed to only be 262 in the world. I got a Wanderer page. Any Wanderer that has a website that I hear about, I put on that page. Constantly adding some. And I thought Graham Hancock was on there for the longest time, and I looked for him the other day, and I couldn't find him. So I put him on there the other day. Anyway, he's had 172 past lives on Earth, and he's got 41 to go for like a total of 213 lives, while the average is 183. So he's doing everything so well that he needs to spend less time on the soul plane planning for his next life. See, like when you're on the soul plane, you get to pick your next life. Or, you know, there's a few that do what you need, you know, what you need to happen to get certain realities or whatever to complete your soul or whatever. So the soul is on a certain path. For a Wanderer, it's like 96.5% etched in stone. And the Wanderer gets 3.5% free will. It doesn't seem like very much, but it really is. A regular person gets 8% free will, and their soul's path is 92% locked in stone, or etched in stone, so to speak. So the Wanderer's life is going to stay on the path, and he's going to make less big errors and have the life that is more likely to have the life that was planned for him, the good parts and all that, where he helped humanity. Now, this guy, Bill Napier, that made this comment, he's only got like a 20 soul score. He's only on the 3rd step, so he's got a really young soul. And he's got a whole lot of bad karma and only a little bit good karma. So you can kind of tell by that he's a paid liar and won't, you know, kind of working for the Illuminati or, you know, saying stuff in the paper that supports their agenda or whatever. So anyway, what I'm told is in the next 2 years, we're somehow going to arrest and probably execute these 50 to 60 highest evil Illuminati, and maybe 25 people with souls with them for about 80 people. We're going to get them completely out of power, and that's going to end all the central bank. You know, the central banks are a big scam. They make money out of nothing and loan it to the country at interest and make it super complicated, when the country can make its own money out of nothing the same way and not have any interest or loan to pay back. So they're going to fix that in the next 2 years, possibly, instead of the currencies crashing, what I'm getting. And then after somewhere around after that, this brown dwarf star is likely to hit. and we're going to go through the tail of it a couple times, and there'll be a lot of meteor showers. And it might take a few years to recover from that, and we'll be discombobulated a lot on Earth. Maybe a lot of people will die that refuse to leave the coast. And the society on Earth will get disrupted. And maybe around the same time, we're going to get this restricted technology that secret space programs have. Suppose there's about 7 of them that based on Earth, 7 different groups that have space travel and have the highest technology. They got like food replicators, portal travel, free energy are probably maybe the 3 biggest technology boosts we're going to get. The food replicator is like some kind of 3D printer where I don't know, you load the printer with some kind of stock that has a lot of the elements and a lot of the biological stuff, and it can print food so people will never have to starve or waste a lot of agriculture land or kill a lot of animals. These people that are vegetarians or whatever, they won't have an excuse that I'm a vegetarian because I don't want to hurt animals, because they'll be able to print animal meat that'll taste and be just as nutritious and good. And so they'll lose that excuse. That's kind of a joke or whatever. I was looking at Dave Wilcox, reading his latest article, and he was saying that every time he writes an article or anytime he does something, he gets this negative grading, a real negative event, and he was whining and complaining. Maybe he took up maybe 20% of his article writing about that. I did like a mini soul reading on him. He's only got a 52 soul score when the average soul score for a wanderer is 56. And a lot of wanderers got a 58 soul score. Hardly anybody gets a soul score above 58, and it goes up to 69. The highest I've ever gotten on anybody is like 63. Anyway, I agree that he was Edgar Casey last life, like he sometimes talks about, and there's a book on it. But the life before that, he was doing good, and he did some big project or something. I couldn't get what it is with the pendulum. It took me a while asking a bunch of questions. And it says he did some big project, and when it was finished, he didn't give credit to all the people that worked on it, took all the credit for himself. Something like that, and he got like a fair amount of bad karma. When I do karma, I do it from 1 to 4, and 1's the least and 4 is the most. So like 1 is hardly any, 2 is a little bit, 3 is a fair amount, and 4 is a whole lot. When I do everything from 1 to 4 because the pendulum swings 4 ways. And then I stick halves in there too, but on that I don't do halves. So anyway, he was given 3 lives to discharge all this bad karma he's got, and that's why he's having all these negative problems. He's catching the same flu 4 times, and he's talking about himself being sick a lot. I guess that's what's being done to him to discharge the bad karma. And you hear of people like the Palestinians getting killed by the Israelis and stuff like that. Well, every one of them that gets killed, that they had bad karma to discharge. Nobody gets killed or tortured to death unless you have the bad karma. It's that way 100% of the time. There's no mistakes on that from what I gather. Before my spiritual facts on my website are based off the law of 1. Some of you have read parts of it, or there's a couple books out that condense it into 1 book instead of 5 books. And so some of the basis in there I did. What I figured out was there's 7 realms and 9 densities and 12 dimensions. And there's some kind of mistake on the law of 1. The law of 1 goes up to the highest density as 8th density. But these beings that are in the solar system say they're 6th to 9th density. And other groups have talked about the 9th density too. What the law of 1 does, it calls the 4th dimension and the 5th dimension 4th density. And for a while I went like lower 4th and higher 4th density and had the 8th density as the highest. And finally, in between the last interview and here, I changed it to just go 1 through 5. So when we make Ascension, we skip the 4th density and go to the 5th density. And when we get there, we stay there just for a real short time, and then we're brought down to the 4th density and have like a 6-week training class on higher density life and the rules of the universe and that kind of thing, and maybe how to use your body and how to be polite and reading minds, and there's probably a lot to it. The 4th density has 4 dimensions, and the extra dimension is a component of time. So time goes by differently. I'm told that if you were able to go in that density and experience the difference in time and come back, you wouldn't be able to explain it. It's supposedly that much different. Well, you still have a mouth, and you can eat and drink and talk and have sex in the 4th density, although there's no fluid exchange. But when you get up and there's liquids, when you get to the 5th density, there's no liquids or gases, and no gases in the 4th density, so you don't breathe there either. But you go from a body with no openings, where you can't talk, eat, or drink, or have sex, or any of that in the 5th density. But life's supposed to be like 100 times better. So anybody that, I heard one guy was, I don't want to be closer to God. I don't want to make Ascension. I heard one guy say that. I thought that was pretty crazy. Seems like everybody would want to advance. So anyway, you want to do whatever you can to get ready and make Ascension. If you have to have 3 cycles in 3rd density and go through 8 steps in order to qualify for Ascension. And I can find out where you're at on the soul report, which step you're on. Supposedly, you're in an oversoul that has 36 souls. And every time you have a life, the whole oversoul incarnates. And when everybody dies, the oversoul goes back together, and everybody shares the past life experiences. And then the whole oversoul incarnates again. But the same souls are the same way. Your soul doesn't change, or the 36 individual souls don't change. Once that's made before the first step, that stays for the rest of your life in the universe. When you go through all the densities, you go into the creation gods and do 8 steps there. And then when that's over with, the universe ends, and then you go back to the prime creators, do 8 steps there, and go back to the central god, or whatever you call it, or the source or whatever. You can ascend either positive over 50% love and service to others, or you can ascend negative 5% or less of service to self, controlling and or manipulating others. And you can ascend to the 5th, and then the 6th, and then the 7th. But to go from the 7th to the 8th, you have to go positive. And normally you would spend 2 cycles in the 7th density. But if you're negative, and you haven't changed to positive, you can get an extra 6 cycles to do it. And if you don't do it by the 8th cycle, which is 6 extra cycles, your soul's recycles. Your individual being is gone, and you go back into the source field, the ether that surrounds our galaxy, our universe. That's what our souls are made out of. Some of the ether is like compressed into large oversouls. When they make the oversoul, they ask if you want to be responsible for matter. And then the oversoul gets a soul. 2/3 of the time, they say no. And then they get what I call as a low soul. So there's like 18 lines of DNA that's broadcasted over all the universes and everything. And 6 of them can become beings. And 3 of them have souls, which are vegetables, birds, and mammals. We're mammals. And 3 of them have the low soul. And the big difference to the low soul is no empathy for others. And those are reptilians, insects, and spider people. And I've seen evidence for all 6 of these kind of beings on the internet along the way. But I got these facts before I found all that. So when a being with the low soul makes ascension, they normally make it negative, and they only ascend to the 4th density, and they spend 2 cycles there as a cooling off period, sort of, or chilling out, you could say, so to speak. And that's because in the 4th density, there's basically no way to control anybody. You don't have to eat. And if somebody like fires a bullet at you, whether you see it coming or not, your body goes out of phase and the bullet just passes through you. So they can't put you in jail, and you don't need anything to survive. So basically, nobody can control anybody else in the 4th density, so there's nothing to fight over. And so a lot of these beings that ascendant negative will turn positive in these 2 cycles. And then they automatically, after 2 cycles, go to the 5th density and go up through all the densities, just like the beings with souls. Got any questions on this, Alfred?
Well, I mean, this is a tour de force through the various stages of existence in the dimensional ecology that we're incarnating into as souls. So I guess I'm just going to go back and go through a list of particulars that I've been making making notes here, and going back to the brown dwarf star. So what effect do you see the brown dwarf star having over the next several years?
Well, I think it's behind the sun right now. People are taking pictures of it at dusk or dawn. People are taking pictures of the sun and seeing some of its planets around it. I've been following Marshall Masters on his site, YOWUSA.com, and he pretty much does the brown dwarf star, and he's a Wanderer 3 skill, and his soul reading comes out good. I don't have it here right now, but he's been doing real good work, and he don't give no times and dates on anything. I thought it was going to come in 216, but now I can see it's not, because it's just taking too long to catch up to the sun. And
Well, I mean, I interacted with Marshall a great deal. Well, not a great deal. He he read uh, my 1974 book, The Age of Cataclysm, on the brown dwarf star, and or on the global coastal event, or whatever you want to call it. And then we went back and forth on programs for a few months. And then it was clear that his view was ultra cataclysmic.
Yeah, it is. I think he's got it too strong.
Yeah, yeah. And so, uh, uh, where do you come down on what effect the brown dwarf star is going to have? Say, if it passes with some time within the next decade or so, plus or minus, so we won't put any time on it.
I think it's real likely to pass by in 1 to 3 years.
Yeah. And so what do you see as its effect?
I see it increasing the earthquakes and making volcanoes go off and causing a fair amount of tsunamis in the ocean.
Now,
Some of
yeah,
that, they're going
go
to
ahead.
hit the coastal cities, but the people that live inland are almost going to have life as normal. And
Yeah, so,
I don't
but
think technology will be lost and we'll go back to the Stone Age, like Marshall's kind of thinking.
yeah, I didn't quite get all of that, so I really want to walk through it. Are you saying that you believe that within the next 3 years, we're going to have a flyby of the brown dwarf, and
Yeah.
that coastal cities are going to be negatively affected?
Yes, I think so, but I think it's not going to be as bad as it was supposed to be. I think these these 5 groups of spear being alliance that are supposedly in our solar system has lessened the effect of it. They push the orbit of it out a little bit, so when it crosses inside the solar system, and instead of going over Earth's orbit, it's going to go like over Jupiter's orbit. So it's going to be
Right.
a little bit less.
Now, could it be that it crosses and there's no effect at all, and the mainstream world doesn't know that a brown dwarf passed? Or is it going to be like obvious that a brown dwarf passes?
I think it's going to be obvious, and we're going to see 2 suns in the sky, and it's going to be almost as big as the other sun, but it's not going to be very bright. It's just like a red star that's not real bright.
But, but
It's already caught earthquakes and sinkholes and fish die-offs and all that stuff has picked up on Earth already the last 5 years or so. The number of meteors striking the atmosphere, all that stuff has increased. So
well, you can look at fish dyes, or Fukushima is the Fukushima radiation false flag, and then a lot of the other stuff is just geoengineering by HARP. So don't you think that the matrix powers aren't just faking a brown dwarf flyby?
people are getting photographs of its planets around the sun.
Yeah, but look at it this way. Just think about this, okay? And if you think about the the matrix powers, the 50 or so experts that you talk about, they're kind of black, beyond black magicians. So that they have all of the scripts, all of the prophecies, etc. as scripts, so that you have a flyby of the brown dwarf coming, and then in order to keep the population under control, you create a symptomology of the planetary system such that it looks like all of this stuff is happening, but there isn't going to really be a destructive shaking of the nest because we are an incarnational hothouse, and the universe management doesn't want to destroy its technology. I mean, why, the last time we had it in 9500 BC, which was Atlantis and everything, they destroyed everything, right?
I think
So
that was
now
the
they,
second or third last time.
yeah. So you're not going to do it again, right? And so now you have all of the crystal kids are coming in, all of these, new generations are coming in. Like, why give them a hard landing? Why not get rid of all of the, old stuff and then let people come in and build a new, beautiful planet? So,
I think
uh,
that's
yeah. So, but you can't do that if there's too much destruction.
right.
And
I
the
don't think.
problem, no, wait, let me finish. Let me
Yeah.
finish what I'm going to say so that we have a dialogue, right?
Yes.
The problem is that the human race is a coastal race. So if you look at North America, United States, the population is on the coasts, and then you have some population in the middle, but primarily it's on the coasts.
Yeah, like 70, 80% or something. Huh?
Yeah. So, and that's true pretty much throughout the world. So why are you going to kill all of the young souls that are coming in for their incarnation, all the crystal kids, and allow the, the 50 guys and all the old, you know,
Well,
horrible guys
what I th-
who are in their bunkers and running the geoengineering and let them survive? That doesn't make any sense. See, we're inside a highly controlled environment, which is Earth, and our universe. And so, as you said, the ETs have come in, and they've created it so that we'll have a soft flyby, and it's not going to be a flyby that's going to destroy and set humanity back. I mean, we've done that already. It doesn't make any sense. It's like we've got a hothouse here for evolving souls, and that's what you want. You don't want any more, catastrophes. We've had that on Earth. We're coming out of that, out of that kind of galactic rebellion, 300,000 years of galactic rebellion, and we're coming into a golden age. And so I think that we come into a golden age on a soft landing, not on a hard landing, because it's all about consciousness. Back over to you.
yeah, on when these other brown dwarf stars came through, it was like 95% of the people got killed. All the technology was lost, and they went back in the golden age. I mean, it went back to the stone age.
Yeah.
What's going to happen this time is they're going to get those top Illuminati out of action, and they're going to be able to alert the people, and people are going to be able to get out of the way of it in time, and like 90% or more of the people are going to survive, and the technology is going to stay intact, and just the amount of land and all that will change a little bit. And we might even get ET help at that time too.
Yeah.
But I think there's going to be a fair amount of destruction, but the people are going to get out of the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything's going to get saved.
Yeah, i.e. there, but there's not going to be that much loss of life, I don't think. Or do you think so?
I think it could be as high as 10% of the people. Some people will be
Really?
real stubborn, and I ain't leaving, and I'm staying in Los Angeles or New York
So you think so you're looking at a global coastal event, basically. What a global coastal event is like what Edgar Casey saw, or what the Institute for the Future, uh, uh, i.e., all those remote viewers, uh,
yeah,
here with Dr. Courtney Brown of the Farsight Institute. They did in 2010. They gathered the largest number of military trained remote viewers in history, and they saw in June of 2013 this large global coastal event in which all all coastal cities worldwide were destroyed, from Sydney, Australia to Washington, D.C. to Los
I
Angeles.
thought it was only Washington. I thought it was only our East Coast they saw underwater. They didn't see the whole world underwater. I thought they just saw Washington D.C.
No, no, no. You're confusing the one-time 1971
Oh,
DARPA chronovisor probe from
right.
1971 to Washington, D.C. in 2013,
Oh,
which
okay.
found Washington, D.C.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
under 100 feet of brackish water. No, in the 2010 study, uh, what they found was all of the cities of the coastal cities destroyed. And people can go to positivefuture.info and see all of these studies. Now, what happened is that June 2013 came about and nothing happened.
Right.
The Supreme Court is still hearing cases, minus uh, Justice Scalia, who apparently was assassinated according to the evidence. Um, and but it's still hearing cases, and we haven't had a global coastal event. Now,
Maybe they altered the orbit of this brown dwarf star. So
yeah, you know,
213.
uh, I, I I I don't think that there is going to be a global coastal event, and most of the measurements that we've been having and multidimensional kind of probes that we've been doing have not seen a global coastal event, which is a global coastal event happens when you have either a large celestial body plunges into one of the oceans. So that means you have these enormous tsunamis like in a bathtub, and it just wipes out all of the coastal cities and all of the infrastructure. And because humanity is 60 to 90% on the coast, that's how you wipe out humanity. And so I think that there was a judgment that uh, um, that uh, you did not you know that that uh, there there was a judgment made that time shifted. Actually, we actually shifted timelines from their various theories. One is that we were on an artificial timeline created by an invading artificial intelligence here on Earth. that created an artificial timeline, which was catastrophic, which had us in a loop of building up and then getting broken down and then building up and getting broken down. And that's why we've been in this continual thing. And that on December 21st, 2012, Gaia, the being Earth that's incarnated as the planet Earth, said enough. And it broke off of that timeline, and it broke down into the organic timeline that it's on, and we're on a positive timeline, and that corresponds to what the Mayan calendar said. Now, what does your pendulum say about that theory?
That it's kind of right, or somewhat right, or a little bit right. Or
Yeah, so we're kind of feeling our way. I mean, I've got to admit to you that I live in Vancouver, BC. It's the fourth most desirable. It's the fourth most desirable city on the planet. It's a jewel on the ocean, and I don't want to move. Right? I mean, I don't want to move. It's beautiful.
Island in between you and the open ocean.
What?
So you got an island in between you and the
yeah. We have that. We have Vancouver Island. That's the size of California. That would be like a barrier to any tsunamis.
Right. So you might be okay.
Yeah.
Unless they're real super high constant ones, you're probably in a safe place.
Yeah. But you're saying that there is a danger of dangerous Earth changes from the Planet X flyby in the next. I'm going to say in the next X number of years. We won't, sometime.
I think it's could come by.
Yeah, you do. Could you do a pendulum right now on whether the brown dwarf star is going to come by in the foreseeable future, say somewhere between now and 5 to 10 years, and cause any kind of noticeable physical havoc on the planet?
I get a real strong, real fast yes.
It's a big yes.
Yeah, big, strong, real positive yes.
Oh boy.
But what I think is, instead of tsunamis being 800 meters high and coming 50 miles inland, you might get a tsunami 100 miles high and coming 2 or 3 miles inland, and then the people will be able to get out of the way from it and save all the technology. A few of these tsunamis will hit, but the people will be able to get out of the way, and not, instead of 95% of the people getting killed, maybe 5 to 10% or something like that.
Okay, but that means that we have to have a world leadership that is, if that's a fact. Okay, I'm going to put a lot of if that's a fact, and if these things are happening in the sky, it means that the world leadership, or some nation, or some official organization, or some group of citizens that has access to telescopes or media or whatever, has to go up and make an announcement that people believe and say, look, this is happening. You got to get out of the way of the tsunamis. Are we going to have the leadership that's going to step up to the plate? Could you ask your pendulum?
We have to take the top Illuminati out first.
You have to take out the top Illuminati. Okay.
Yeah, 50 to 60% of Illuminati, like the Rothschild pushes, Bill Gates and people like that, and 25 other people that have souls that are closely aligned and have almost as much power as them.
So now who's going to do that? Putin will do that.
Putin and maybe some of the white hats in our military and more people will be getting woken up, because there's like an energy wave coming in from the center of the galaxy, getting stronger and stronger until the age changes or somewhere around that. And as that gets stronger, more and more people wake up. And we could have divine intervention.
Aha.
Yes on that. If we get divine intervention and disclosure and execute some of these top Illuminati, that'll change the information everybody's getting, and all kinds of people will wake up if some of these events happen. And it will be, and you'll see this extra sun in the sky for maybe 6 weeks before it gets close enough to really rev up the damage.
I see.
Everybody will say, look, there's an extra sun in the sky, and every day it gets a little bigger. What's with that? And if the Illuminati are controlling everything, it's some kind of special comet, it ain't going to do nothing.
Yeah.
They'll keep putting that out, but if them top Illuminati people are taken out and some honest people take over some of the leadership and put out the correct information, people will know that it's going to cause way more earthquakes, which causes tsunamis and volcanoes to go off.
Now, let me ask you, I just have been watching a lot of information that has tied Donald Trump, as a Mason. I mean, his daughter does all of the Mason symbols on the ads. That's how he got all the real estate. That's how he does all the, if you watch his daughter on her ads, she puts her hands like this, and it's really like, I've done articles on medium.com and you can see it. And if you do you can do an historical analysis, and there are many parallels between Trump and Hitler, and a lot of defenders of Hitler back at the beginning. And he was allied with the industrial magnates in the same way that Hitler's allied with the Masons in the real estate industry, and even his daughter is Miss Mason, all that kind of stuff. Now, have you done a soul reading on Trump, like where he's at soul level?
For a while, I kept getting 39, and then the other day I got 34. I'll do one right now and see what we get.
Okay.
Donald Trump. What section? Still in the average section. Row 4. All right, he's the lowest number in the average section, which is 35.
Ah.
That's not good, but it's not super bad either.
Yeah, it's not super bad.
So he's way above the average politician. Way above.
Yeah, way above. So what does your pendulum say about whether he's going to be a future president or not?
I get a real strong yes.
Yes, that he's a president.
Right.
Yeah.
If we get some kind of if we get some type of divine intervention where there's a Jesus or some kind of person with special abilities or something like that can get with him and teach him some spirituality and tell him the correct promises to make to the people and explain why they're going to be, about the technology and the evil people getting taken out and stuff like that. If somebody trains him on all that, he could be a good president. If they can get in his head, you got to be a president of and for the people instead of all of and for the bankers.
Yeah, because right now, if I look at some of those rallies, he's channeling like a very dark entity. I mean, I read an account of this political supporter of Andy Bashago who went to a Trump rally, and she was just standing there with her friend, and they had a Bernie cap on, and all of a sudden a teenager turned at her and said, her. The crowd turned on them. They were manhandled. They were rustled out. I mean, it was like really ugly. And Trump was leading that stuff, and he's channeling a really dark entity.
Well, I know there's some negative things about him.
Yeah.
Need to be adjusted. That's
Yeah. So you're saying there's a lot of adjustment. Well, so it looks like your pendulum saying Trump is the next president. Well, if you have a combination of Trump, you have a world in which the Planet X is going to pass around 2019, 2020, 2018, 2019, 2020, according to your calculations. I'm saying that I'm still kind of neutral on this. Okay. So that's quite a recipe there.
Yeah, there's big trails behind it of all kinds of meteors. And get pounded 2 or 3 times from the meteors that are following it and stuff. So it might supposed to be some kind of kill shot from the sun of one of them CMEs, coronal mass ejection or whatever.
Yeah, but we even have those medallions that were released by the government of Mexico, going back to the Aztec and Mayan days, showing how they have spacecraft that are blocking the CMEs. So it was known even then that advanced ETs that were probably part of the Galactic Alliance or Confederation would protect this planet, because we are a life-bearing planet. We've been in business for a long time. This is quite an establishment to incarnate into. This is one of the premier planets to incarnate into. You even had a Paradise Son of God that incarnated in here. So, I mean, I just don't think that. I think that this is more about like cosmic kabuki theater and moral lessons than crashing the house every cycle, especially since we threw off the artificial intelligence on 2012, and we're more down in a positive timeline. Now, let me ask you this question. Let's go over to Corey Goode and to David Wilcock, because I've heard all sorts of stuff that Corey is a MyLab survivor and that he may be channeling, not intentionally, but like.
Well, he's got an 18 soul score and a whole lot of bad karma.
18 soul score, Corey Goode.
Right. And
so
a whole lot of bad karma.
So you have David Wilcock
soul too.
Has put Corey Goode on Guy MTV and is blasting cosmic disinformation.
Maybe not.
You don't think it's cosmic? And even Michael Salla has written a book on Corey Goode and said, oh, here it is. Get your sliced bread. I mean, is that correct, what Corey Goode is saying?
What I get is most of what he's saying is true, and he's changing some of it to make the story better and to make himself look good.
I see.
He worked for the Illuminati, and he was led to do horrible things.
I see.
Now he wants to change and turn around his life. So I think his soul score has been rising and will keep rising, and he's trying to go the other way.
Right.
It was Soul score. Yeah, it's soul score used to be on the bottom row that goes up to 7 or whatever, or up to 6. Yeah, he used to have a soul score like 5 or 6, and now he's got it up to 18. So he's like turning everything around. But he's gonna have 4 lives to go through of harsh stuff to discharge all this bad karma he accumulated.
I see.
Yeah.
So is like the Corey Good and David Wilcock show that they're putting on with Michael Salla as a facilitator, is that a net positive or a net disinformation negative?
It's a net positive. Yeah, I get a real strong yes answer of it being net positive.
Net positive. Well, that's good news.
Right.
That's good news.
That's how I got it from the beginning, and I keep asking those same things over and over again. All the stuff I got on my website, I ask all them questions over again, constantly here and there, and try to get it right. Anything that's wrong. I just went over my God, Matter, and Life page on my website and changed a few minor things on it and corrected it as best I could. I think that's my best page that kind of explains spiritual facts of souls in the universe.
Well, yeah. So now you're talking about I just kind of want to go through this. Let's say that we're going along this timeline, and somewhere between 3 years or so we'll have the passage of the, it seems like there's like roto-rooter going through Earth. It's just like coming through. Hopefully the 50 plus to 80 Illuminati get, they hit their wall, they get totally reamed, they get, they're gone, and so that all systems can start moving. And then
we're still going to have a lot of bad people and evil people in power still after them, but they won't.
Yeah, but they're only humans.
They won't be able to. Yeah,
they're only humans.
No, there'll still be a lot of Illuminati left, but not the. There's like 5,000 Illuminati or something like that right
now. Yeah. But they'll be identifiable, and everybody will know the game, right? Or not?
Maybe not. I mean, they're going to have to slowly get eliminated, I think.
Uh-huh.
How about all these police that are on a power trip and shooting innocent people? They show up to your house and pull a gun out, and anybody reaches for their wallet or something, they blast you. I don't know that, but stuff like that.
You mean they're doing that on Illuminati orders?
Right.
But that's like an Israel trip. I mean, the American police are doing that because they've been trained, or their supervisors have been trained in Israel, and that's what the Israeli police do, as I understand it.
That's got to get changed.
Yeah. So, but that's at the top. That really is the Saturn Moon matrix, the artificial intelligence at the top, and those people are only alive because, the human population hasn't woken up.
Yeah, what I get there's a group of reptilians that live around Saturn on its moons, and there's another group of reptilians that live on the moon that are with the good draconians, but a little bit below them, in power and control. They're doing some of the control on humanity. I think that the ones on the moon have the right size bodies and everything to create the Illuminati.
Right.
We have a presence on our moon.
Right. And now, but that's part of the secret space program, so they have to be taken out.
Right, and there's a lot other negatives of other sorts that bases on the far side of the moon too. There's supposed to be some kind of moon signal that's being shot at us that takes away part of our perception.
Yes.
We're supposed to be able to look around and see other more than just a visible light. We're supposed to see all the energy moving and a lot of other things. And if that moon signal's taken out, we'll be able to see all that, and we'll be able to see like shadows of people in other realms and a lot of things that's being blocked by this moon signal.
Right, right.
But I can't.
So, so then if we're moving through the timeline, and we've gotten to the other side of the passage of the brown dwarf, and that's when all the crystal kids have kicked in. I mean, and the millennials really start to come awake, and all their energy is really what moves the human race beyond forward into progress after that. How does Ascension kick in after that?
Well, the goal, supposedly, when the brown dwarf comes through and we're taken out after the first round of the Illuminati is taken out, then the brown dwarf comes, and then we have 5 years of adjusting to that and getting the rest of the evil people out of power and getting honest people in power. And that 5 years is so for everybody to discharge their bad karma and prepare for the golden age. It's just kind of like make everybody right, where everybody woke up and everybody to understand their spiritual being and that everything is one, and they'll knock out all the false religions. Religions are started by negatives and controlled by negatives. They all got a different God, and everybody in that religion believes they got the right one. Well, they all got the wrong one. There's just God. There's no their name for God. There's God's. I got gods is like the ether that surrounds all the universes and all the voids. I mean, that you can change into some being or something and talk to somebody if you want, but basically, everything is all one, and it's all part of God.
Right.
But the main part is the ether, the torsion energy that surrounds everything, and that has the intelligence and the DNA signal. See, there's two source fields. There's one that I call the God consciousness that surrounds all the universes and all the voids and surrounds everything, and that broadcasts DNA and some other intelligent things, and then there's a source field in each universe. And the source field for your universe seems to do more, and that's you get the free energy from that and all that stuff.
So
matter, space, everything.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that is the ascension energy from the source field for this universe, or is it from the God?
I think ascension is for this planet, not for the whole universe or the whole galaxy. Each planet.
It's just for this planet.
Right.
So right. So this is just and who are the controllers of that? Who is modulating the source field of that? Is that an artificial intelligence, or is that a being? Is that an organic being? Or is that like a multiplicity of beings, or is that a machine, or what? Do they have it automated? Do you know? Could you ask your pendulum, or have you asked your pendulum?
Is it basically just the source field that does all that? Yes, that's how I always thought it was. Is it like he says a machine or automated? No, it's just the ether that surrounds everything, that controls your reality and controls all that. creates time and space and
So that's inherent in the solar field. So then that's a matter of law, right?
right.
It's following certain laws. So it's intelligent law. It's intelligence. So law is intelligent energy.
Right. It's a infinite intelligent energy
Yeah.
in the cosmos that creates your reality and
Infinite
basically everything
intelligent energy.
illusion.
Right. And it follows law. That is,
Rules, yeah.
it follows regularity. So it's infinite intelligent energy following law. So law is part of divinity then, in a way.
Right, right. Yeah, you could say that.
Divine law.
Yeah, it can create life too. Like
Yeah.
it can create some matter, and using torsion energy and electricity, it puts the DNA into that and creates life. And the life that comes out of that will already have the complex organs and eyes and ears and all that, you know.
Okay.
It doesn't start from a single cell organism and it keeps evolving higher and higher. A higher life is made all at once.
Now, let me ask you a question. What is the future of the United States in the family of nations? Could you ask your pendulum, or have you asked your pendulum?
Not too much. Can you make it a yes or no question?
Oh, yes or no?
Yes or no, or a numerical answer I can do real easy. Otherwise, I got to somehow change it.
Okay. Does the United States remain a top leader of nations after 2025?
I'm getting kind of, sort of.
Ah, so it's going through changes.
Yeah, maybe we'll be there, but we'll have a lot of equals, or maybe it's open a little bit depending on what leaders we get, do what, how they run things, you know.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question that's a little bit risky, but I'm going to ask it anyway. There's a colleague of mine, you may know him, Andrew Bishago, who was a childhood participant.
I read a lot, much other stuff.
Yeah. And one of the things is that he was told by a number of participants in the secret time travel program that he had been seen as a future US president. Now, all of this is not deterministic, it's probabilistic. Okay.
Right. Uh-huh. I
So, or would you ask your pendulum if Andrew D. Bishago is a future US president?
Is Andrew Bishago gonna make president now or later? Maybe.
Maybe. Okay. That's interesting.
Got a chance at it. I think he's unlikely to make it this time since he's not on the ballot and you can only write him in.
Oh, right. No. But I was wondering 2020, 2024, those two. But you got a very strong yes on Trump.
But yeah, if I got into some position of power and I could coach Trump, I would tell him to take Andy as vice president.
Oh.
So that he could make president later on.
Right. So that Trump, what you're saying is that you want Trump briefed on the secret space program.
Yeah, I want Trump to be turned into a spiritual person and see things in a spiritual way and be a president of and for and by the people instead of and by and for the bankers.
Okay, very good. Okay, sorry, I'm sorry to bring in these political questions. That just happens to be part of what I'm doing in another lane of my life. So
Fun.
that's why I'm I'm asking, uh, and so it sounds to me like when you say 7 years of trouble or trouble,
Tribulations.
sorry?
Tribulations, like it says in the Bible.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was trying to get at. That's my next question. Is that language and memes that you're importing from the Bible, which is kind of like you know, it has a certain type of language and imagery, or is that something that you're really getting directly? Would you use a different type of language for it? Like, is it going to be just a bumpy ride, or is it going to be like tribulation? See,
I would
tribulation is like
tribulations.
masses of people starving. It's
Mhm.
like horrible shit
Right.
in my language.
I would say light tribulations. I would say almost all the people survive as normal, and they just go through hard times and things changing, and they discharge their bad karma. And
Yeah, so it's changes.
yeah, they
It's changes.
go through tough times. It's more
It's
bad karma
tough
than
times.
the time you go through. If you have
Now,
karma, you get a good, do good.
is this tough times just for the West or tough times for the whole world?
I think for the whole world, but some countries, the average person has a lower soul score and a whole lot of bad karma. That particularly, you kind of keep incarnating into the same group, the same race most of the time. Like if you've been a black person, you keep incarnating in a black person or whatever. And there's good and bad lives in every group and whatever. But some groups have a higher percentage of people with with a lot of bad karma. So those groups of people will have tougher times to go through and a lot more bad karma to discharge, like
So,
the
so
Palestinians are.
yeah. So what you're saying is that what what you're giving here are your analysis and your opinions about the nature of the reincarnation hologram
Mm-hmm.
and what incarnating on Earth is going to be like over the next 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, I would say that's right. I've asked the pendulum on it a lot too.
I'm sorry?
I've asked these questions on and on with the pendulum for
Yeah.
at a time and sometime. Pretty every day I ask the pendulum at least maybe 1 to 200 questions.
Right. Well, now, how can people get in contact with you?
Just go to my website on the front page. I got an email address in gigantic letters and ask
Okay.
for emails.
And that's icheckyoursoul.com.
Yeah, and my email address is love and S2O, which is love and service to others. Love and S2O at hotmail.com.
It,
And
and,
big letters twice on my opening page.
okay. And and
There's even a phone number on the bottom of the front page. I take phone calls too.
okay.
I get
Now,
them,
do
so
you do you have any points that you may have wanted to raise uh, in this program that you haven't had an opportunity to raise yet?
I think I kind of covered everything I was trying to look at. Yeah, I kind of went through all my things. I can't think of anything else. I can show everybody my website and encourage you to get a soul report.
icheckyoursoul.com.
Yeah, and that Walk 77. I use that when I make comments on sites.
I see. And do you have any observations or words or thoughts that you'd like to leave our viewers with? Because I'm sure that many viewers, although they followed these subjects over the years, uh, are not, you know, what you've said is kind of a definite reality that many people don't carry around with them.
Yeah, I'd say
And
avoid bad karma. Don't hurt others. Don't acquire any bad karma because you're going
right,
to start it later. Try to accumulate as much good karma as you can.
you know,
Try to raise your soul score. Your soul score is sort of a state of mind of
yeah,
how do you feel about others and other things in the creation.
okay,
If you give everybody else more respect and try to be in harmony with them and try to help them at times, you'll get a higher soul score. And when you eventually make ascension, you'll get a higher position in there. Everybody, when you make ascension, everybody has something they do, just like in third density, although it may be quite a bit different. Basically, all the higher densities focus on third density, except for fourth and sixth. They can't see the realm one, but all the other realms can see realm one. And they study what's happening to the people in third density and try to help them and teach them and make things go their way when they got good karma. Try they try to give you hints on what to do. You know, if you're going to do something that you shouldn't do, they might, and you're walking through your house barefoot, they might cause you to kick a piece of furniture and hurt your toe. And they're trying to tell you, don't go do that. That's not the right thing to do.
right,
It's all the time. If you meditate and pray every day, you'll get results from that. I sure have. I've prayed for things and they came right in. You know, I had problems with things and prayed over and over and asked about it, and then eventually all of a sudden the thing got changed and I couldn't believe it. And it happened several times, and it'll happen for you too.
very good, very good. Well, I I really want to thank you. We've come to the end of this segment,
Okay,
and I really want to thank you for
so happy to be.
these valuable updates. I know that you've given me a lot of food for thought that I'm going to go and consider, and so I imagine that many of those who watch this interview will have a lot of food for thought as well. So we want to thank you for that.
Okay, thank you very much, Alfred. I hope to be back again if this works out well.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Okay then. Thank you.
thank you. Bye.